You are now listening to the NYYST
Podcast.
Welcome back. This is episode 212 of the NYYST podcast. I'm your host, Christian. As always, joined by my co-host, Chris.
Yo.
And we can't find him, but we got Dan Federico with us this week. Danny, what's up, bud?
Oh, what's good, fellas? Happy to be back. I think the last time I spoke to you guys was like playoffs, right before the playoffs, right? So it's been a little while.
Yeah. We had Stack Guy ride too, but
Yeah, Stack Guy Rod, missing in action, man.
dude fucking disappeared, man. Just vanished.
Episode 212. That's a New York area code, right?
It
No,
is.
it's Detroit, bro. Isn't it?
Are you
212?
Are you that
That's
stupid?
313, 313.
Oh yeah, 313. Put
Yeah,
your
we're gonna
all the hands up and follow me.
We're gonna really show out on episode 973. We're gonna go
Oh
wild
yeah.
for that one.
Wait, are we gonna make it that long? We're only on
Probably-
what?
no, probably not.
212?
We're gonna
We
retire.
gotta start
in-
doing
in-
daily pods.
We're gonna retire in October. Oops, did I spoil something there?
Are we retiring? What
I
if they
don't
win the world? If they win the World Series, we'll stick around.
That's up to the fans.
We'll ride the
they'll
coattails.
decide whether or not they want us around past October.
Agreed.
But Ryan will be joining us in a little bit, and when Ryan joins us, Chris is probably going to take a powder because he's a little under the weather this week. But he's going to fight through it to join us at the beginning of the show here.
Yeah, I figured I'd hop on for a little. I also took one of my cough medicine pills, so that's starting to kick in a little too. I'll get a little loopy during the show. It's better than doggy Xannies that you pop.
Wow, he's sleeping right now.
Oh man, don't make me
Dog
laugh.
is so fat. He's
Don't make
getting,
me
he's
laugh.
getting out of shape. Everybody's
Yeah.
putting on the quarantine 15. Even the dog has.
Yeah, listen, I have COVID, man. You gotta fight it. You gotta just fight it. My wife has it. She's a saint. She's way stronger than me. Way stronger than me. You would think she didn't even have it. If it were me, my kids would have been gone. The CDC calls. They go, "Are you isolating from your kids?" Yeah, lady. I'm isolating away from my kids. You want to come fucking take care of them for me? Like, what do they expect? You want to know if I'm screwed either way? Either I'm giving my kids COVID or I'm leaving them to cut things with knives and take care of themselves for 14 days.
You could have sent him to a group home or
Oh, a
something.
group home, yeah. Hey, do you take COVID kids over there?
Certainly. All right, so we got a lot of things to jump into today. The Yankees made a lot of moves since the last time we recorded. We touched on it. The rumors of the Jameson Taillon trade that actually went down Sunday, the day after we recorded. Jameson Taillon is now a New York Yankee. 4-player package headed, I guess you would say, headed by Miguel Yajure, was probably the top prospect sent over to Pittsburgh. Adam Ottavino got his ass sent to Boston. Peace. Masahiro Tanaka went back to the recruiting Eagles. So there's a lot of things that happened out in Yankee land in the past week. But we want to start off the show by saying, if you think this is a 5-star show, then you got to leave us a 5-star rating and review.
If you think
on
Dan
iTunes.
Federico is a good-looking dude, leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube.
Just give these guys the 5-star, man. No matter what, just drop it anyway.
How about the one review? We got to get to that real quick. Listen, if you listen to the show genuinely, here's my thing with the review process. You can't review a show based on listening to one show, right? You can't just, people who review listen to the show. And we've had bad reviews where people listen and they don't like the direction that the show went. And that's fine. I'm more than okay with them coming on and saying, look, I used to like the show, can't listen anymore, blah, blah, blah. But at least you gave it a shot and you're leaving a fair review. There's some people who come on and listen to like 10 minutes of a show and they get offended because we're a little rough around the edges here. And they say, bad show. Bad show. Don't listen. They're mean to Yankee fans because Yankee fans are ridiculous sometimes. And we need to call that out. We can't act like everyone is rational here.
Well,
No.
listen, all I'm going to say is that if you are offended by anything that we have said on this show, it's because we're speaking about you. So you cut your bullshit.
Right.
We're not going to cut it. Well, it's not. I don't think we have bullshit. We tell it like it is.
That's it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Look, if you listen to 10 minutes, you
If
didn't
you
like
want to
it,
sit
go
there and
away.
live in fantasy land where you can just trade your starting shortstop and then get a different starting shortstop, like, oh yeah, we'll trade. We'll touch on all this, but it's just like, my trade simulator says that I can trade
I love it.
14 different pieces of trash for
Yeah.
Luis Castillo and give him Gleyber Torres, and then I can go and get Trevor Story. You want to live in that reality? Go ahead. That's not the reality we live in this on this program.
Yeah, they said
here.
we don't live in reality. That's what they said, Dan.
Okay, so
we don't live in reality.
put down your phone, stop playing on your goddamn trade simulator, and maybe you should listen to us more than for 14 minutes and make a stupid assumption.
Seriously.
There we go. I like that.
You know what? And I said, when you showed me that, it doesn't bother me anymore, because you want to know what? All I'm saying to myself is
They hate us because they ain't us.
He's one of those people.
Yeah. That's it.
If you're offended by something that I said, it's because you think I'm speaking about you.
Right.
And I don't go out of my way to insult people. But if you fall under that category of somebody that's been insulted, that's your problem. That's not my problem.
I agree.
And when I say tweets, literally verbatim of shit that
tweeted
we've
it.
said on this show, come on, you're not going to attribute to where you heard that?
You tweeted it. Yeah. It's crazy, Dan. Listen, people don't think people don't see us as big time, so they'll take what we say verbatim and just start tweeting it out there. Like, we did a whole show last week about Cashman. We started making a joke, and then Ryan did his dead-on impression of Cashman. We did a whole show that Cashman must have a fetish for, like, guys with injuries. Like, the more Tommy Johns that you've had, Cashman wants you. Like, Cashman you've had 2 Tommy Johns, blah, blah, blah. Someone puts out a tweet. It was like, look at all the guys with Tommy John. It's almost as if Cashman has a fetish for guys with TJ. That was literally, like, the name of the episode. Like,
So
at least you think you're not going to get caught, but you get caught. You get caught.
At some point, it's like, it's flattery at that point.
It is. Listen, I said I'm flattered.
Yeah.
I said I'm flattered.
Still want the attribution, though. I feel that.
But it's like, it's not even that. It's more like they, if they took us seriously, they wouldn't mess around. Like, they wouldn't mess around like that. They would feel the need to give credit, but they don't take us seriously. And that's where things need to change. But can I make a request? Can we, since I'm not going to be on the show for much longer,
what do you want to do?
Can we start with the Adam Ottavino stuff? Because I got to make sense of this. It just, nothing about it's making sense to me.
Well, there's plenty that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I know for you, because you hate the guy.
Because for those that don't know, the Yankees traded Adam Ottavino to the Boston Red Sox, and they attached a prospect. Is it Herman or German? But it's spelled.
I think this one's German.
Yeah, I think this one's German. Yeah,
it's
Frank
Herman
German.
and German.
So it's Frank German, a pitcher who I think he's never seen past low A ball. It got sent to the Red Sox, and the Yankees they didn't even bother to get a return back. A player to be named later, or cash. I think the Yankees. So here's what the Red Sox got. I think they got $850,000 of prospect and Adam Ottavino, and Brian Cashman was like, nope, that's it. Deal's over. You don't even have to send anything back over here. So it was a little.
Does Cashman get free room service when he goes to Boston over the trip? Like, does he get anything from this?
I'm sure either they'll probably have the money returned, or they'll get a low level prospect back in return and later on. But this was a pure salary dump for the Yankees, and
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
I hate it because I don't understand the upside to it. And I'm not sitting here saying that Adam Ottavino was anything great over the last year.
Because they turned around and they saved $7 million by signing Darren O'Day. The other 2 things are connected right there.
Yeah, but
so for $7 million less, they got Darren O'Day, and they have $7 million to play with.
You trust O'Day more than you trust Adam Ottavino?
I trust me more than I trust Adam Ottavino.
Really? So you're that down? Dan, are you that down on Adam Ottavino? I guess that's where I'm not connecting because, yes, I'm down on Adam Ottavino. I think he really fell off, but the upside to Adam Ottavino for this bullpen who is now missing Canely, to me, you don't just get rid of him for nothing at that point.
I think there's a lot of guys in that system that they want to give a chance to that we've seen, like a Loizaga. I don't know about a King. I think he could still be in the starting rotation. That type of call up, but Nick Nelson. I think they want to elevate some of these guys, like try to start evaluating what they are now with Ottavino. First off, that trade for the Red Sox was great because they could, if he's anything of value, they could flip him at the deadline for more prospects. So I think that was a great deal. That's getting Chaim Bloom. That's that Tampa Bay Rays mentality. So not surprised at all. But for the Yankees, I think, it's hard to evaluate last year because all of us want to be so excited about Clint Frazier, won't want to be down on Adam Ottavino and Gary Sanchez. So as a whole, I think I probably would have tried to see if they could rehab and just see what they could find in him. But again, it comes down to the salary, and I think that's what it was. I mean, that call it like it is. They wanted to save that money, and they got that out of it. So that's the decision they made with it.
Yeah, but
So
if you go back to Chris, if you go back to 2019, he wasn't the same pitcher. What starting in August? He wasn't the same guy.
No, Adam Ottavino hit the Scott Proctor mileage.
No, Boone definitely proctored him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not one for advanced analytics. We talk about it on the show all the time. I hate it. I'm more of an eye test guy. But his peripheral stats were terrible. Hard hit percentage, all that other bullshit. Wasn't he considered one of the quote luckiest pitchers in baseball in 2019?
Lou Gehrig was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I think you're getting the two confused.
No, see, you have COVID and you're comparing it to Lou Gehrig's disease now.
I'm also a little loopy right now. I took my pill.
So there's a lot of
cough medicine comes in a pill form now. By the way,
okay, you said this already. We're discussing important things.
Sorry,
you got bubblegum flavor or not? They're done with that.
No, man. Let me tell you something, Dan.
Great,
you brought this up. I gotta say this right now. Amoxicillin, which is what that was the greatest stuff. I used to love getting sick just to rip the bubble gum.
Yeah,
and it was fun. It's kind of messed up because, like, as a kid, you're like, "Mommy, can I have some more?"
Yeah,
like, I wanted to take the whole thing at once. Amoxicillin, baby. Just bring it back. Bring back amoxicillin.
You don't get high off amoxicillin, right?
No, it just tasted good. And then the doctor used to fuck with you. The pharmacy used to mess with you, and they'd give you the cherry kind once in a while. And you'd be like, "Ma, this sucks. Ma.
Yeah, no, yeah.
This sucks. I didn't get sick for this." Great call by you.
Try.
So amoxicillin, I heard, is the COVID cure. They just don't know that yet. Okay, sorry, Chris.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I'm letting you have your moment because you won't be here.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna be gone soon too. My wife needs to come in here. She needs to lay down. She's sicker than I am. I act like I'm more sick than she is.
All right. Well, where's your brother?
I don't know, man.
I mean, Dan and I can easily carry the show, but
I know you can. I know you both can.
But where the hell's your brother?
I don't know, man. You're closer with him than I am now.
Oh, he's so triggered.
I am. This has made me COVID's made me very sensitive, man.
All right. So you wanted to discuss Adam Ottavino. Let's get this.
Yeah, let's get through this, and then I can go.
So there's a lot of people that don't even think Ottavino was as good as what his 2019 numbers say because his advanced numbers were pretty bad, apparently. Again, I don't pay much attention to it. It's really comes down to his guy get the outs or not. And apparently, barrel rate and all this other bullshit wasn't really good for him in 2019.
Well, Dan's big in stats.
Dan's big into stats?
Yeah, Dan, right? I mean, you do a lot of stats, like on a daily basis. You have to, I mean, you must know a little more than we would on Adam Ottavino, more than just a surface level guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on that fence where, like, I'm not completely, I believe in analytics. Like, I'm not against it, but I think a lot of times people straight up disregard the eye test, which, like Christian, I'm big on the eye test as well. Like, it's a mix of both. But yeah, Adam Ottavino's numbers, 2019 may have been a little deceptive. Again, the high salary. I mean, that's kind of what it came down to. It sucks that as, Yankees fans, people don't want to hear the salary stuff at all. Nobody wants to hear that. In the end, that's really what it ended up coming down to. Like we said before, last year, just to not have a good year. Obviously lost complete trust within the Yankees during the playoffs. I mean, he was non-factor, as we know. He was the bottom guy on the totem pole. So
He wasn't even on the totem pole.
yeah, he was holding the totem pole. So I don't know what he was doing, but he was just, yeah, he was a non-factor. So I think no one should be surprised, obviously. I mean, maybe that he got traded to the Red Sox, of course, but yeah, I'm torn. Like, I think bringing Darren O'Day in helps in regards to, filling that void a little bit, just having a veteran piece that could, help pick up the slack. But like I said before, I think they have a lot of faith in these young guys. They want to see what they have in them, which I don't blame them either. I mean, they're on the 40-man roster. You got to make a decision one time or another. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The bullpen is going to be an interesting piece in 2021 because I don't want to say unknowns, but there's going to be a lot of new pieces in there.
Can I just say this before you go, Christian? Okay. Because it's really the only point I need to get to on Adam Ottavino. I'm okay. I'm not like mad that the Yankees are trying to shave off some salary. I'm fine with that. It's just a matter of like, how much did you really save? And was it worth it? Because again, if Tommy Kahnle was here and if Tommy Kahnle was healthy, I probably would say, okay, this is cool. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw how much it hurt the Yankees to not have Tommy Kahnle in the postseason and to have Adam Ottavino not be effective. So what's the upside? Like we talk about like, okay, why would the Yankees get rid of Gary Sanchez right now? He's not worth anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Adam Ottavino isn't. And if he hits his ceiling, if you get the most out of him, he's worth keeping because the guy's very talented. And I think Adam Ottavino at this point, when you have a little bit of more of a vulnerable bullpen than the Yankees are used to over the last couple of years, you need Adam Ottavino to show up. You need Adam Ottavino to show up and be the guy that you signed him to be. And instead you're sending him off for, what did we say they're saving after getting O'Day? They're saving what?
About 7 million,
yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to put that into O'Day, who don't get it twisted. O'Day is going to give you just as much as Adam Ottavino is going to give you. I'm sorry. I mean, we've seen O'Day for how many years?
Yeah, I think he's like 13 years in the league.
Yeah,
something
come
like
on.
that.
Like, he's going to give you just that. Is he a lefty?
No, he's a righty.
He's the righty. I know he's the sub. He's got the sling there, but look, what more are you going to get from him than Adam Ottavino? And you're saving $7 million. Adam Ottavino's ceiling at that point, the upside to Adam Ottavino, and if he showed up to be the guy that he could be, it's just not worth it for me to get rid of him for that. That's just my opinion on it. Because I just think you leave the bullpen in such a vulnerable place at this point.
Yeah, but they already brought in his replacement.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
But what? They brought in his replacement. You have to understand something.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe O'Day surprises me.
I think if you look at his numbers throughout the course of his career, he's been way more consistent than Adam Ottavino's ever been.
I'll tell you what. As long as he won't be facing I used to hate when that guy used to come in against the Yankees.
Yeah,
it's going to be really weird
watching him.
The Yankees bringing in some guy to get big outs in a game that doesn't throw. What's he top out at, like 86 miles an hour?
Yeah, last year I think his fastball average was like 87.
Yeah, but that thing rises. That thing comes up, and he has an effective fastball. He's been in the league. You said 13 years. He's been a good reliever.
Yeah. So they already brought in his replacement. This is a guy in Adam Ottavino that you and I both watched. Aaron Boone have absolutely no faith in.
Who am I thinking? I'm having my brain's fried right now. Who's the guy who Boone was bringing in big spots in the postseason before Adam Ottavino this year?
It was Loizaga.
Loizaga. Yeah, J-Lo coming in spots where Adam Ottavino's just sitting there freezing in the bullpen.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, at that point, you say it's no longer about no faith. It's no longer about doesn't have enough faith. It's literally no faith. It's literally nothing. You're not even a consideration. You shouldn't even have been on the roster. There was only 60 games last year, so I'm going to assume that you saw most of them. Did you see a guy on the mound that had any confidence in what he was throwing? No, not once. Not once.
So how can you feel anything but saying, you know what, goodbye? He had no confidence in himself. His manager had no confidence in himself. We're in a year where the Yankees want to get under a luxury tax, and he's making $9 million a year. You're going to let that sit out in the bullpen, and what? So he can mop up a few games in April, and then you try.
You gotta
and,
hope he can come back though stronger than that. That's
and
my
it,
thing.
and to
It's
me,
still
it
Adam
tells.
Ottavino. I
Yeah,
think
but
he's
what does it
better
tell
than that.
you about what the Yankees think about him and what he might have left in the tank when
Yeah.
they traded him to Boston?
Okay. I mean, the Yankees haven't been wrong in the past.
Oh, but I'm going to take this at face value based on what I saw over the last year and a half.
I'll
And
say
now
this.
that they didn't even care. They don't even care where this guy went.
I'll say this. Last thing I'll say before I go. And Dan, thank you for coming on. You're the man. I hope for Yankee fans' sake, for Brian Cashman's sake, that whenever this guy gets on the mound against the Yankees, they light him up and not the opposite. And that's all I'll say.
Well,
Gotta
he can
go
strike
against a
out.
lot of
I mean,
right-handers. though.
he can strike out Babe Ruth, so I'm sure he'll get Stanton, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Stanton, Sanchez, man, those could get ugly, man. You can see it just now. I
Oh,
mean,
forget it.
it's
You know what they'll do? They'll put Adam Ottavino out there for Stanton, and maybe Judge or whatever, and then they'll ship him out into left field and wait for Sanchez to get up and then bring him back on the mound just to pitch to him, just so he could
Wow.
have 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, when he hangs that fucking slider over the middle of the plate.
It's
I'll do it.
crazy. All right,
Yeah.
guys, I'm out.
Where's
I'm
your
gonna go
brother?
tend to my I don't know when he figures his life out. His internet just crashed. Like I think
So this isn't just an internet thing. This is a life thing for.
this is a
Brian.
life thing. This is a life thing. It's
That
like
guy
Barry
around.
Zito. You know, Barry Zito never had TV, never had internet, nothing. Hated baseball. Guy
All right, so
hated
you're
baseball.
leaving. So you're leaving. So tomorrow night is the Royal Rumble. So that's what Dan and I are going to talk about for the next hour.
That's
Yeah.
fine, man. As long as I'm not here for it.
All right, bye. Feel
All right,
better.
bye, guys.
Feel better.
Thanks.
All right,
You,
Dan.
I have all the faith in the world that you guys will carry the show without me.
All right, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Bye. Shinsuke Nakamura. All right, so we wish Chris to feel a little bit better, not all the way better, just a little bit. So it's just Dan and I right now until we can find Stat Guy Rye. So what was your initial take on the? We'll move off of Adam Ottavino here because I don't know really what else we need to talk about. Unless you want to add something else to it. To me, I guess the most shocking thing was that he was traded to Boston.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, like you would know, like was Cashman really? He was probably shopping him. To me, it just shows that they're not really concerned with what this guy's gonna come back and do.
Yeah, I think like we were saying before, it's like connecting the dots. He didn't do anything in the playoffs. He struggled, high salary. They were obviously going to get rid of him. So, like you said, it was the Red Sox thing. The last time was 2014 that they made a trade. Steven Drew for Kelly Johnson. So,
Don't say
yeah,
that.
big time. Both teams career players there. So, yeah, that was a real one shock. Like I said before, though, smart move for the Red Sox to give them credit. You have to. I mean, they could flip him if he shows any competence. Team looking for a bullpen piece, flip him at the deadline, get some more prospects. I like it for them. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, kind of connecting the dots. Looked like his career was over. Kind of sucks too because he was a big Yankee fan growing up. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just the way I feel about the way that it kind of ended here for him. That he was just such a non-factor. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about it. To be honest with you, it's. I know people are like, "Oh, Boston," but I guess that's just the one thing. It's just like if he would have went anywhere else, you wouldn't even think twice about what
No.
this trade is.
No, not at all.
But that wasn't the only trade that Brian Cashman made during the week, as we alluded to early on in the show here. Jameson Taillon was traded to the Yankees. We heard a lot of rumors about that leading into when we recorded last Saturday night. We're recording Saturday night again here on January 30th. It's about 8:00. Taillon's a Yankee. There's two ways that we'll discuss this. The first, that may be probably three. We'll get to what the Yankees gave up in a little bit because I need to find the full package. I can't find it right now, but there's a couple things. The first thing is when Garrett Cole speaks, Brian Cashman listens.
Yeah.
Because Garrett Cole's has very glowing reviews of Jameson Taillon here. They were teammates out in Pittsburgh. Uh, so, and he basically went to bat for Taillon and said, "This is a guy that you want to basically go to war with." And here he is. And I understand, from if you want to look at it from a different perspective of what Trevor Bauer is, I understand the Yankees aren't playing in that financial marketplace, but also Cole doesn't like him, so
Yeah,
it's just I mean, if you're gonna pay a guy what they paid Garrett Cole, I guess you're also gonna listen to what he says about who maybe you want to bring in on this pitching staff.
of course.
So, not taking into account what the Yankees gave up, what's your thought on Taillon to the Yankees?
I mean, it seems like a typical Cashman move where for pitching anyway, where he's got the name, he's showed potential in the past, injuries have been an issue, and it's a risk. And that's a lot of times what happened with Cashman's moves with pitching. I mean, there's always that risk reward factor where you don't really know where you're gonna end up on it. But when you factor in what he can do, what he's been, I know Taillon has changed a lot of his approach. He said that in a bunch of interviews. His repertoire, he's going to approach things differently when he's on the mound. So there's a lot of hype around him. Obviously, the relationship with Cole, like you said, played a huge factor. I mean, you have to like the deal. They needed pitching help. All the prospects they traded, I mean, Yahuri and Contreras, 40-man guys. Yahuri was really good. I thought he was going to make more of an impact last year. And I thought definitely this year as a bullpen piece, potential starter, especially with the Pirates. I think he'll get a chance to be in the rotation. Contreras, same thing. He's a little bit further away, but he's somebody who could be a starter, and especially with a team like the Pirates where he could step in. They don't have much help regardless. So he could be somebody who could make an impact. And you knew the Yankees had to clear up that 40-man roster space anyway. So I in the end, a risk reward is there, but I like the move. I think he's going to be of good help next year.
Yeah, like you had mentioned, this is a typical Cashman move here. It's just, for me, it doesn't erase. Again, we talked about this on the show in previous weeks, and especially last week when there was really a lot of smoke around this trade rumor
Yeah,
here.
definitely.
It doesn't erase any of the question marks the Yankees have in the rotation past Garrett Cole.
Yeah,
On paper, you look at Taillon, who is what, a former number 2 overall pick, and the stuff that he has, and the fact, and Garrett Cole goes out of his way to say how great he is, and you like that he's working and he's going to be ready and everything. But again, this guy hasn't pitched in almost 2 years. You're bringing in Corey Kluber on a 1-year deal. Again, somebody that hasn't pitched in almost 2 years. And then you want to say Jordan Montgomery, who really hasn't pitched in. He made a requisite number of starts based on, you know, what we what people were doing in 2020 based on a 60-game season. But he's another guy that hasn't logged a lot of innings because he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. You
yeah,
got Davy Garcia, who's going to be on an innings limit. You want to even say Clark Schmidt is a guy that they can throw in there, innings limit. And Sevy, we heard Brian Cashman was doing the rounds yesterday. He's saying late summer, which people were saying, late July, early August. So now you're going to be without him. And then when he comes back, what's he going to be doing? Working himself back into shape. So the hopeful thing is that Sevy's ready to go when it matters most in October. So then you
yeah.
compare him, but again, do you feel any better? I mean, I guess you do in a sense, but do you really feel any better about the Yankees rotation with Kluber and Taillon? I mean, again, like I was saying, they don't eliminate any of the question marks on this team.
That I said the same exact thing. It's Cole and question marks. That's the rotation. Based on, like you said, Cashman was doing rounds yesterday. It seems like they're going to go quantity this year. They don't mind cycling through 9, 10 starters because you're obviously going to see Cole at the top. Taillon, Kluber, both coming back from seasons that were lost, so they're going to be question marks, as you said. Davy Garcia, I did like a lot out of him last year, but he's going to be somebody, again, like you said, innings limit. Clark Schmidt, going to get a chance. We don't know. Domingo Germán coming back, another one who missed all of last year. Some of these other guys, Nick Nelson may get a chance. You don't know. Or I'm sorry, not Nick Nelson. Mike King. He'll be somebody who will probably see some starts as well. Jordan Montgomery, his second year off of Tommy John, which fortunately that second year is the one where you really start to see something. So I think there's a chance that Montgomery kind of recovers well. But he's also, as a whole, you're not going to see him as a number 2 starter, number 3 starter. He's a back end guy, a solid back end guy, but a back end guy nonetheless. So I think you're going to see a lot of pitchers against Severino too. Cashman kind of hinted yesterday when he was on WFAN about him possibly doing different roles. So maybe an opener. I don't know about a complete bullpen guy, but maybe going 2-3 innings and piggybacking him with someone else. It's going to be interesting.
I didn't hear that. I don't like that idea, to be honest.
Yeah, he said they'll deploy him in different situations if needed, something along those lines.
I wouldn't even mess around with if he can't go out there and give you 4 or 5 innings. I wouldn't even bother with him.
No, I agree. But yeah, it's a lot of question marks for a team that you think is going to compete for a World Series. Now, you could say the first half of the season, they're going to deploy all these guys, and whichever ones really shake out, then they'll shape that way the second half of the season, which, hey, their offense could carry them to a lot of wins, so it's possible. But for a team that has World Series aspirations, I don't know if this is the best way to go, but it is the way to go.
This team can win 95 to 100 games sleepwalking through this season.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I mean, the division, the Rays taking a step back, losing, Blake Snell. The Blue Jays, their offense is going to be good. They have no pitching, and they're still young. I mean, I'm not doubting them at all. They have a great team. They just signed Springer, great pickup.
When your
But
number one is Hyun-Jin Ryu, I don't respect your pitching staff. I'm sorry, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be shootouts. It's going to be shootouts all day with them. Obviously, Orioles, Red Sox, is what it is. So I don't think there should be an issue. I mean, we know injuries happen all the time, but
it has that hamper. I mean, like, I think last year I don't know if we touched on this with you last time we talked to you, but I think last year with the expanded postseason and the 60 games, I don't think the Yankees ever put the pedal to the metal in the regular season.
no,
I think they settled into a certain spot, and they were okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. They wanted to make it through and just get to the playoffs, which they did. So, yeah,
They had the hot start, and then they sucked for a while. We were like 5-15 or something. And then once they reeled off that, what was it, 10 in a row they won there in that second part of the season. Once they won that 10 in a row there, they were pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot. I understand that it got a little dicey there. Maybe they were like only 2-3 games up at one point, but you never really felt like that they were ever going to fall out of a postseason spot, because again, you kind of felt like they were just going to turn a switch on, win 4 or 5 games, and that would be the end of it.
Yeah, especially like you said with the expanded playoffs. Always assumed they were going to make it.
So,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
This is the problem. We're getting old, bro. You just fucking forget what you're going to say in the middle of your sentence. I don't know. To me, like we were saying, like, yeah, people are going to. I don't even remember how many games they won last year. Like 33, 34, way under what their total was probably supposed to be. But
yeah, I don't either.
Because we're talking about injuries. But back in 2019, I remember that series they had in San Francisco when Luke Voit was wearing the title belt on the flight home. That was an atrocious lineup. That just goes to show you how bad San Francisco probably was. I think the Yankees swept that series, or they took 2 out of 3. But those lineups they were throwing out there, they were terrible. But the Yankees still won 103 games that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think over the course of 162, they'll find ways to get to the number they need to win a division.
But then once the playoffs come, man, we all know it's a pitching game. That's what it is. So, I mean, between the questions now that we have with the bullpen, where, there's still a lot of high power there, but not all of it. And, Darren O'Day's still a question mark. Aroldis Chapman has been good, but, he's not at his peak either. Zach Britton, Chad Green, very good, but, they fluctuate as well. And then starting rotation. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of question marks. Like I said before, I think it's really going to be see how it goes the first half, use a lot of guys, see who shakes out, and then hope you can figure out the 5 second half. If you have to make a trade, they'll make a trade, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, there's an interesting name that you brought up, and we've said this, and we're just going to go based on Domingo Germán, the baseball player. What he did was you don't excuse it. It's terrible what he did, but if he's going to be here, we're going to discuss him as a baseball player.
Yeah.
So to me personally, I think Domingo Germán is best suited to be in that bullpen. I remember, I think it was 20, it had to be 2019 when CC made his first or second start of the year, and he piggybacked CC. That was as dominant as I ever seen Domingo Germán look in the major league, on a major league mound. So to me, I'm saying to myself, if we can get this guy in maybe Chad Green's old role, where maybe he pitches 2 or 3 times a week and he gives you 2 innings or 2 1/3 innings to come and bridge, bridge from the 4th to the 7th or whatever. That's his best role for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Again, I'll say complete scumbag, by the way. Like, person, what he did was just completely wrong. I don't agree. Obviously, like you said, we'll talk baseball player. Don't want to condone obviously what he did, but um, as a baseball player, I 100% think he should be that role where he is multi-inning reliever coming in after, Davey Garcia pitches 3 innings, struggles, have this guy come in and do 3 innings. Jordan Montgomery can't go the distance. All right, have him bridge the gap multiple times a week. Literally exactly what you said. He's effective. Again, he missed last year. We don't know how his training's been. He struggled in the winter league. So
Let me ask you this: what do you take out of that, though? Because Chris brought that up a few weeks ago, and I don't know what to take out of it other than the guy, he's getting work in. Do you
yeah,
take
no,
do you take a lot out of it? Do you maybe that he's just going to be a bum this year because he struggled in the winter league?
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying about Frazier and Ottavino, where if he lit it up, we'd be like everybody would be hyped over him. And I struggled. You kind of want to say, all right, it was small, but he did miss a year, so you have to give him time. I mean, I'm not going to judge him off of what happened. You obviously hope he did better, but um, I mean, I know they've spoken about him being a rotation piece. I think Cole, Kluber, Tyon, Montgomery, Davey. I think that's what I would do.
That's how I would go to start the.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
probably how I would go to start the
yeah,
season.
so I think that's what it should be. And like you said, Herman in the bullpen, if he gets back to form, that's a weapon. He is a weapon out there. So, and like you said, Chad Green of 2-3 years ago, where he could do that. So I think that would be the best role that he could be in if he comes back or when he comes back.
I know it's shitty that you get put in a position as a sports fan that you have to root for bad people, but we almost forget about a role as Chapman. But
Of course,
what he did, I mean, you could say that the girlfriend or wife dropped charges or whatever, nothing was ever filed. He still got into a fight with her, tried to choke her, didn't try to choke her, whatever, and then went and shot a gun in his garage. That's not normal behavior,
no,
you
no,
know.
no. I mean, he's another one. Yeah, again, we won't have to stray too far, but we have to analyze how they're going to be on the field. That's what we do. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you
know.
can't
That's what
condone
I'm saying.
obviously.
And people
Yeah,
are like, oh, how could you know what? There's bad people everywhere. We're gonna discuss a baseball team. We're gonna discuss these guys on the field. You just hope that it, the transgressions are behind them. That's all you can really do at
yeah,
this point.
yeah.
Um, Davey Garcia is an interesting name. Well, I think we all pretty much liked what we saw at Davey Garcia last year.
Sure.
There's a little bit of a red flag for me, because if you want to say his two biggest outings of the year, I know really in the grand scheme of things, the game that he pitched against the Red Sox really didn't mean a lot, but
Yeah.
he put a lot of pressure on himself in that game, being that Pedro Martinez is his idol,
Yep.
and really Pedro is known as a Red Sox, right? And he went and he pitched up in Fenway Park. He got rocked in that game,
Yeah.
and
I okay.
then you could say it was 1 inning,
Mm,
and we don't mention this guy's name on the show anymore. We're banning, even guests are not allowed to mention the person that followed David Garcia into the game in game 2. We banned
mhm,
his name from the show, even
okay.
though it was 1 inning
Yeah.
and he was replaced. He looked very jittery out on the mound in the first inning. Again, his postseason game. Kid was what, 21 years old,
Yep.
but the two most high profile settings that he was in, you saw a little nervousness out of him. Would you just attribute maybe that to being 21 years old, putting a little bit too much pressure on yourself? Or maybe is this a guy that can't handle the brighter lights?
And if you want to add another level to that, no fans. Imagine a packed out Fenway
Right.
or, wherever I don't know. No, the
Was it
Yankees were away.
Petco?
Too.
It was in
Yeah,
Petco
Pack,
Park.
or, I mean, if they were at in Tampa, it would have been Yankee Stadium South. But um, I don't want to put stock into it because he, like you said, he's young. He's going to put pressure on himself. He's a highly touted prospect. The expectations are high for him regardless. So, and it was his first taste of, the rivalry and the playoffs. I mean, Severino had a lot of the same blips as well
Right.
throughout his career. So you got
You
to hope.
forgot what time the start was too, right?
Yeah, too many things with him. But I did like a lot what I saw of Davey. I know, I mean, I'm not trying to say I was harsh on him, but based on what I heard from scouts and opposing people on ball clubs, nobody really thought he would make a real impact as a starter. They thought, if anything, he'd be a reliever, but he did work on his control a lot. He showed some serious flashes where going into 2021 as a 4 or 5 starter, I'm letting him go. I think you have to give him that chance, especially based off last year. So I definitely wouldn't put too much stock into it personally. Um, there's always going to be a concern there. You want these guys to perform, but at the same time, it was his first taste. Give him the benefit of the doubt being a young guy. Like you said, Boston, his idol, Pedro Martinez, wearing the 45 belt. I mean, there was a lot to it. So, but, at the same time, young kid, first time circumstances, why not give him a second chance sort of thing?
No, I'm okay with that. I'm advocating for him to be in rotation.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
just that when, like you said, this is the only taste that you have of this guy. So you're gonna make assumptions based on what you've seen off of him, and that did make me a little nervous myself watching. You just hope that he can handle it because I think the Yankees do have high hopes for him.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, like I said before, um, even though he was being touted a lot by the Yankees, so was Chance Adams, and so was a lot of these guys. So based on what I was hearing from scouts, I was like, I just don't know what he's going to be, but he showed enough. I think he showed a good amount last year. He came in, did his job. Like you said, he's going to be on innings limit this year, so it's going to be kind of tough. But again, that's where Herman could step in and kind of piggyback off him. But like we both said, rotation guy for sure, at least to start. And I don't want to say like I'm not going to be upset if he flames out, but I have high expectations for him at the same time too to start the year. So
I'm gonna be upset if he flames out just because I think the Yankees are banking on him being a piece of that rotation for the next 4 or 5 years.
good point. Good point.
You just don't know. You get the sense that the Yankees don't want to. I hate when people call the Yankees cheap. I don't think they're cheap. If you're playing in a market where your payroll is constantly 1-2, you're sitting right up against 210. You're not being cheap. And honestly, and I contradict myself all the time. And I say this is 2021. We were sold a bill of goods in 2016 when Cashman really took the reins of this team.
Mhm.
Beltran, Chapman, Miller. We can go through the list of the guys he traded. Judge got his shot, Sanchez got a shot, and Gordon Glaber, all that stuff. We don't have to go over it again. And they said, 17 was a magic carpet ride. We really didn't
Mhm.
expect anything in 18 because we were always told that they would really be ready to go in 2019. 2019 came, they lost in the ALCS, and then it was because, we didn't have the ace. We were waiting for the ace. Well, last year we got the ace, and you want to give him a pass now because COVID, 60-game season, fair or not fair, you give him a pass. Now 2021 is here. We're really now into the third year of this window that Cashman set himself, right? I didn't set that. That was told to us by the general manager of the team. You don't want to hear about the luxury tax. So you're saying you got to do what you got to do to get this team over the hump. But at the same point, if you can't build a championship team for 210, maybe you need to bring in somebody else that can build a championship team for 210. And I think Cashman's done a really good job. Some of these moves that he's made in this offseason are really shrewd, but they're also Cashman moves. He really didn't go out there and do anything that really shocked anybody. He brought in two starting pitchers that have injury histories, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it's like you said, they're Cashman moves. That's what it is. He loves doing these high risk, high reward. Now, I think when he's trading for a minor league hitter, I'm at this point all in on whoever he brings in because look who he's gotten: Luke Voigt,
Yeah,
Aaron
Gio
Hicks,
Urshela.
Gio Urshela. You could go down the list. He's brought in so many guys, finds those diamonds in the rough, but it's the pitching that's always the issue when he trades for these guys. It doesn't end up working out. The guy who you don't want me to name. Go back a little further, Nathan Eovaldi, things like that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Javi Vasquez before that. I mean, he brings in guys, he risks it. Jeff Weaver, you could go on and on. These names that it's calculated.
Jared Wright.
Jared Wright. I mean, dude, how we could do a whole episode just on
Yeah.
pitching that he's made that haven't worked out. And Kluber and Tyon could very well be on that list. And I don't want to put negative doubt on it. I'm not trying to say they will be, but it's that high risk, high reward. And like you said, I mean, I I fully believe that if the Yankees got rid of Cashman, he would get hired tomorrow by someone else. I think anybody would love to have him, truly. But at the same time, while people say they're cheap, they still have the highest payroll. They're still spending more than anybody. So, so at some point you got to go for the jugular. And I think he tries his best to not go for the jugular. And he wants to do, like you said, the shrewd moves, the ones that, okay, they'll surprise people. And Now it's been how many years that hasn't worked? I mean, whether people wanted it or not, 2017 was the first year of the window. We didn't expect it, but it was. 2018 didn't happen. 2019 didn't happen. We could say it was the Astros, but either way, it still didn't happen. 2020 pandemic didn't happen. 2021, man, this window, it's not as open as it was. It's not fully shut. I'm not saying that either, but it's getting close. They're closing it a little bit. So
No, I keep saying that. I'm in total agreement that I think this window is closing a lot faster than a lot of fans think that it is.
yeah,
And you don't want to keep wasting Garrett Cole's prime years. Eventually that contract is going to become an albatross to this team. We all know it, but we're all okay with it because of what he means to this team. And it was the guy that you had to go and get. So you're okay with having to kind of deal with it in the back end, but you can't waste the front end of it. And year one is already gone.
yeah,
So you need to tell me that you're still short in starting pitching after getting your ace. And your answer to that is letting basically, I guess, your most reliable starter for over the last 7 years go back to Japan, and then replacing him and replacing Paxton and replacing whoever else with two guys that haven't pitched in almost 2 years. So, you got to start looking at the guy fielding the team and not so much the resources that he's being given. Because in my opinion, as much as I'm going to sit here and say 2021, I don't want to hear about the luxury tax. How I can't hear it. Everybody is dealing with a lot of different things because of the pandemic. Don't tell me that your losses, blah blah blah, whatever. You're still sitting pretty, a
yeah,
lot prettier than a lot of other people are. You can afford to bump the payroll to 225, 230. But at the same time, I understand where he's coming from and saying you're getting $210 million to give me a champion. Why can't you do it?
yeah. Especially when you see teams like the Rays who beat the Yankees and what's their payroll?
They
So,
wiped the floor with the Yankees last year. Let's
yeah.
be honest, they
Oh, they
did.
did. Yeah, they're a much better team. And even though they traded Snell and they're not, I don't want to say rebuilding, but they're still going to be a problem next year. They're always a problem. It doesn't matter. They just turn out players like it's nothing. So, I mean, they're a team that won't go away. And like you said, they should be able to win with 210. You have to find a way. People are finding a way. Look at the Dodgers. The Yankees have a higher payroll than the Dodgers. They're always finding a way. They're consistently been the best team in the National League for how long now? So the Dodgers are a team. I know a lot of people say they want to model the Rays. I'm sorry, but I think it's more the Dodgers that they should want to model because they're the ones who spend money as well, and they still able to make it out and make it to the World Series and do their thing. So, I don't know. Like you said, it's tough. I don't want to say they're cheap. I don't want to go that route just because they're still spending the most money out of anybody. But you think they'd be able to get a winner out of this roster?
So what did overall, we'll wrap up what we're talking about Ty and move on to a few other things here before we close out the show here. So is I'm probably butchering these guys' name. Ronanzi Contreras, a pitcher, infielder Michael Escado, outfielder Conan Smith, and again we alluded to this because we saw him a little bit last year. Pitcher Miguel Yajure. What did you think of the package the Yankees sent to Tyon?
I think from the Yankees, I don't think it'll be anybody that'll be missed. Like Escado, Smith, they're not going to make an impact anytime soon. I'm not saying they won't be Major League Baseball players, but on the Yankees, they're not going to do anything in this window, which is most important. Tyon will help in the window, they won't. So I kind of put those guys okay. Give the prospects there. Yahuri, like I said before, I think he would have been a bullpen option this year. I was surprised he wasn't last year. He's really good. Again, I think the Pirates should make him a starter, try him out there. Why not? Especially when you're the Pirates, who you're not going to be good next year anyway. Same with Contreras. I mean, when you think of the Yankees, he probably would have fell into the reliever role. But when you're with the Pirates, you could get a starter, and you get two potential starters out of a trade like that, cheap, costs nothing. I know one rival executive who I spoke with said he liked the package for the Pirates. I mean, not crazy upside. The Yankees didn't give up, top prospects or anything, but for a Pirates team that's not going to be any good, bring in some arms, try them out. It's not going to hurt them. So I think it was a good trade for both sides. I really, like I said before, none of these guys were really going to be impact players in this window. And at this point, when you're a team that's contending, you're just looking for who could help within that window. So
Back to Ottavino real quick because I wanted to touch on that guy, Frank German, that got sent out there. What, for fans that probably just heard his name for the first time because he was traded in this Ottavino thing, that's not anything that is going to come back and bite the Yankees in the ass in 4 or 5 years. You think?
I mean, he's a low A guy, so it's like it's a crapshoot to me. He had some good numbers down there, so I'm not going to say he wasn't any good, but on the surface, no. And if they win a World Series next year, no one will care anyway. But I mean, you never know. These guys, people develop at different rates. Different, guys who don't think they're going to be that good come up and flip the switch. But I think German is so far away that at some point, I mean, the way Yankees Twitter goes, people are going to roast him if he gets called up in 3 years, and it's gonna if he turns out to be something good, they'll forever hate the Cashman for making this trade. But I don't think he should be anybody Yankees fans should worry about losing.
So you brought up something interesting there. You said none of these guys are going to make an impact in this window, right?
Mhm.
Which is why I've been in that. Now again, I don't know. I know there's rules against trading guys. Like if there's certain points in their development or whatever, you can't actually trade them or whatever. So I have been talking out of my ass for the past few weeks that they might not even be able to trade Dominguez. But to me, if he's available to be traded, and you got a guy like Luis Castillo or who's the other guy? Don't get old, bro. Seriously. Kyle Hendricks that are
Oh,
available to you, and Jason Dominguez is standing in between you getting one of those two guys. Don't you almost have to make that trade?
I mean, at this point, the hype is so crazy with him that I just want to see him, like see what he could do on the Yankees. But if it's for a superstar, if it's for like Juan Soto, and they say we want Jason Dominguez, give me Juan Soto all day. Like I'll take him. And truthfully, I bring Juan Soto up because the Yankees hope that Dominguez could turn into him because after I think it was like 2 years of being signed, he was in the big leagues. I have no idea, what Dominguez could be. I mean, the hype is so unreal that who knows what he's going to be. And he's so young and just like hasn't played professional baseball. So I agree with the overall sentiment where I'd rather trade. I always say this on Twitter. I'd rather trade for the what is than keep the what if. Like Clark Schmidt could be Luis Castillo, so trade them, trade for each other. I'm a big believer in that. Get the young minor league, get the major league player who's young in his prime for a prospect who may or may not be. That's why, thinking back to James Paxton, did it work out? No. But trading Justice Sheffield, who, if he could be as good as James Paxton, why not trade him for James Paxton? I'm a big believer in the prospects for the player who is. So, grand scheme of things, yes, right package comes along, I wouldn't turn down Jason Dominguez, but selfishly want to see what this Martian could be in the Bronx instead of somewhere else.
No, I guess I see what you're saying, but I'm also at the point now where I want to win, and I
Oh
think
yeah, you're right. The win.
Hendricks or Castillo would be the guy to eliminate those question marks that we were talking about.
Yeah.
You stick him behind Garrett Cole, and then you want to play around with what maybe Tyon can do or what Kluber could do. You feel a lot better about the Yankees rotation at that point. And I've been calling this kid a myth, a fairy tale, a comic book character,
Yeah.
because to me he's not real right now.
No,
He's
I
not
agree.
real.
100%.
You see these other outlets tweeting pictures of Dominguez hitting the ball, taking batting practice in the cage. Great. Okay. What does that mean to me right now? What is that going to do to help the Yankees win this year? To me,
Yeah.
the only thing that it could do to help the Yankees win this year is to send them somewhere that brings back the Yankees a player that they really need. And I'm not saying that, because you heard some of the outrageous trade, returns that some of the teams wanted for guys like Robbie Ray. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you're trading for Robbie Ray,
Oh
but
yeah.
but but Kyle Hendricks is a legitimate number two. Luis Castillo would be a legitimate number two. Maybe people don't view them as top of the line aces, but that's what you need right now. You don't need a kid to maybe become Mickey Mantle or Mike Trout in 4 years.
Yeah, no, I feel you 100%. Like I said before, what is for what if, I'm down with that. Especially when somebody who's going to help right away. So, Dominguez, like you said, he's a myth. I don't know what he is. He's just, what is going to come of him? Who knows? But he seems like untouchable. I mean, even with the Luis Castillo stuff, it really came out that they were asking for Gleyber Torres. So I don't even know if they were asking for him. I don't think so, 'cause I think we would have heard. Um, but I agree with the overall sentiment where I'm down to give up prospects for people who will help now because you need the help now. the prospects will help in the future. Great. This is the window now. Maybe you could rebuild a window with some of these prospects, but maybe you won't. So I'm down to trade them for people who will help.
No, I totally agree.
And that, and not to cut you off, but that's also why you build the farm system. Not everybody's going to get promoted and be, Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres. You got to have those other guys like, I don't know, Dustin Fowler, James Caprillion, who they could trade and bring in somebody else, whether it works out or not. Sonny Gray, another pitcher that didn't work out, by the way. That other list that we were talking about.
yeah, his name was banned, but he ends up coming up way too often, so we unbanned him just so we can make fun of him.
Listen, man, we don't have to get on a Sonny Gray rant, but you probably heard him on R2C2 with Trevor Bauer?
I didn't, but you know what? If you have a Sonny Gray rant, now is the time to do it because I don't want there to be dead air and I have to go give something to my wife. Get your minds out of the gutter. I'll be right back. So if you want to go on a quick Sonny Gray rant so we don't have dead air on the show, now go right ahead, brother.
All right, here we go. Ready? So, not a crazy hot take, but I wouldn't have been mad if the Yankees tried to get Sonny Gray back, only because if you guys did watch R2C2, he was with Trevor Bauer, obviously CC Sabathia, Ryan Ruocco. He was talking about how the Yankees didn't really let him, use his potential where he felt comfortable the pitches he used. And he didn't put necessarily like he wasn't scorching the earth, blaming Larry Rothschild and stuff, but he did mention, and CC kind of had his back where, they thought he could be a lot more than what he was able to offer. And he just ultimately didn't feel comfortable. It wasn't the atmosphere. It was the coaching staff, I'd say more so. But Sonny Gray ran over. I did say I wouldn't have been mad if the Yankees tried to bring him back, but you can listen to that when you rewatch and edit this.
He's a loser.
Or you can just cut it out.
He's a loser. We bring this up all the time. I just don't understand like why his numbers were what they were on the road, but they were what they were at home.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, it's just another Cashman move where it's like, damn, man, the frig. But
and I thought it would have worked out, man. I really honestly thought it going into 2018. I said on this show, I said, listen, I don't know if he'll win the Cy Young, but I think when they discuss the Cy Young, people will be talking about him. It didn't work. It didn't work out. So
I was at a game. I went to, it was Yankees Mets. I was fortunate enough to sit with the scout. I was like 4 rows behind home plate. Yankees Mets. It was Sonny Gray's maybe like second or third start against DeGrom. I'm pretty sure I tweeted like future New York baseball right now. DeGrom versus Sonny Gray. It's an absurd tweet. I think he won that game though, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I had high hopes for him too, but obviously it did not work
out. So you kind of threw it in there that you don't think that Luis Castillo, that the Reds asked for Luis Castillo. Jesus Christ, that they asked for Gleyber Torres for Luis Castillo. You don't think that actually happened? Because I actually seen somebody, I think it was John Heyman tweeted that out, that it kind of started and stopped there when they were asking.
No, I think they did. I think they did because why not? I mean, people get so offended when people are like, they asked for Gleyber Torres. What do you, Luis Castillo's their ace. What are they going to do? I mean, you of course you're going to ask for him. Not saying, obviously the Yankees didn't give it up, but for people to say, it's blasphemy. Why would they? I mean, I don't get that when people freak out about it either.
To me personally, and we alluded to this earlier in the show when I was making fun of everybody. I don't get like I understand like you got to ask for the sun and the moon if you're asking for the moon, right? If you want the moon back, you got to ask for the sun and the moon, or you're not going to get the moon in return. You're going to get less than that. Yeah. So that's how negotiations work. I understand that. Maybe you throw Gleyber Torres out there and Cashman's like, no, but how about this instead? But to me, this is where you're on social media, on Twitter, when people are like, oh, look at my trade simulator, but we can do this. And then that's where it was like, oh, we'll trade Gleyber Torres and go get Trevor Story. What?
Yeah.
Like, and to me, like, I wasn't mad that Francisco Lindor got traded to the Mets. To me, the part of that trade that kind of stuck me a little bit was Carrasco, because that's a guy that I feel maybe he doesn't even profile as a 2, but again, you could stick him in towards a 3-4 spot and he can give you innings and be a reliable guy to go out there and give you more good starts than bad starts. Where the Yankees, you've alluded to this, you have your finger on the pulse of a lot of different things. Were the Yankees ever in on Carrasco? They ever in on Lindor? Was there, because you heard they might have kicked the tires on it. Was there any real serious discussion with the Yankees and any of those 2 players?
So it's funny you say that because, well, first off, like you said too, like the Mets, I mean, that was a great deal for them. I love that deal for them, especially what they ended up giving up. I mean, there wasn't much. And what's funny is I was speaking to another executive in baseball, like what was with, I mean, they got the Indians got the players and they're known for, quantity. They like the quantity. They like just bringing in a bunch of people, especially how their payroll is. So I say, even with when they got Carrasco and Lindor same time, that package I didn't think was anything crazy. Yankees definitely could have matched that. So I asked around a little bit, and I was told pretty matter of factly. I don't want to say 100%, but I would say 98% that this person said it as a fact that the Yankees actually, Brian Cashman was willing to give up Gleyber Torres and Davy Garcia to the Indians for Francisco Lindor and Cookie Carrasco. And I don't know if there was something else involved. I don't think it would have been a 2-for-2 swap. Personally, I think the Indians may have to throw something else in. The issue that came down to was Hal did not want to do the extension with Lindor. And it's something that a lot of people think is the Stanton issue, where his contract is so big that, and obviously Cole's contract, that they don't know if they could give out more of these without, they still have to lock up a Judge, now maybe a Gleyber Torres. But there were serious discussions where the Yankees were definitely interested. Cashman was willing to put Gleyber Torres on the table for Lindor, which personally I would have been okay with. I mean, Gleyber's a great young player.
Lindor is better.
Lindor's better to me.
And he's either a switch or lefty, right?
Switch hitter, supreme defender, great clubhouse guy, just checks all the boxes, market everything around him. You can make so much money with him coming in. I would have been fine with it. And it seems like from what I heard,
again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and from what I heard, the Yankees were interested. I was told, like I said before, Cashman was willing to put Gleyber on the table for Lindor, but it's the money part. And obviously, you're not going to trade Lindor and then let him go.
No, you cannot trade Gleyber Torres for Francisco Lindor and let Francisco Lindor walk out the door.
Exactly.
So again, are you attributing this to Hal Steinbrenner being cheap now? Because we just talked about this. 210 is not cheap, but you could have got one of the top 4 or 5 best players in baseball on your team, and you didn't want to pay him, and you didn't want to dole out. Because what's he going to get in free agency? $300 million. You figured, right? That's a good baseline.
Yeah, I would say so. And if he, let's say the Mets don't sign him and he's a free agent, someone's going to offer him. The Mets will probably give him that close, something along the Mookie Betts line. So I don't know. I don't want to say cheap. I maybe they have other priorities. Maybe they want to give some of that money to Judge and Torres, and I don't know, man. But
maybe you could get Judge, because we heard Cashman say this yesterday. Tanaka letting him go, it was a 2-for-1 because because then you figure that they were probably going to pay Tanaka about $13-14 million, which is what they in total ended up paying Kluber and Tyon, right?
Yeah.
So maybe $300 million for Lindor. They're thinking, and maybe Hal's thinking in his mind, I can extend Judge and Torres for that amount of money.
Exactly. So I think that's ultimately what it came down to. And with Tanaka, just because we didn't really touch on him before, hated to see him go. I know he struggled last year in the playoffs. I know, he has his up and down.
Dude, I don't get sentimental with guys that I didn't grow up with. Like Derek Jeter's my guy, and I told the story on the show. I love my daughter. I love being a girl dad. I wouldn't trade it for a thing in the world. I'm glad that I have a daughter because my grandmother was one of the most important people to me in the world, and I got to name her after my grandmother. But if I had a son, his name would have been, if she was a boy, would have named him Derek after Derek Jeter. So that just goes to show you what Derek Jeter means to me, and that my wife knew that and allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mariano Rivera. Those guys that you have a reverence for. Eli Manning will always sit at the top of my sports hero list.
Sure.
Because of what he did with the Giants.
Of course.
I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way for guys that didn't win here, but it kind of broke my heart a little bit knowing that Tanaka wasn't coming back.
Yeah. See, the thing with Tanaka, which I 100% see what you're saying, but he was somebody who, I obviously I'm not going to say someone else didn't want to win, but Tanaka came here. He was so prestigious in Japan. Like the whole process, I loved like how he kind of followed the Hideki Matsui, where he was one of the top players in Japan, wanted to play for the Yankees, wanted to bring that tradition here. I love the whole backstory of it, and it's a shame that he didn't get a chance to win because as Brian Cashman, again, that we keep bringing up the conversations he had yesterday, shenanigans. That's what he said. Tanaka would have had a
Yeah,
ring once for
shenanigans was his word.
shenanigans. Yeah, so I think he would have been one. And there were reports out today after his press conference in Japan
Yeah,
where
he's gonna might test free agency again next year.
unfinished business. And Cashman brought that up again on WFAN where he said you may have not have seen the last of him. And Maggie Gray was, she when she followed up, she was like, "Oh yeah, we know these guys love coming back for Old Timers Day." So,
I saw you tweet that, and I almost threw my phone against the wall.
why?
Because I cannot stand listening to the two of them. I can't. I tune out and I'm not a big fan of Boomer and Gio either, but I
Mhm.
listen to them.
Yeah,
But once they sign off, I go straight. I go straight podcast music for the rest of the day because I'm on the road all day. I'm on the road from 7, sometimes as early as 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night. So
yeah,
I'm locked in and I listen to. I wouldn't even turn off Carl and Bart and Maggie. That should just tell you how bad I think Moose and Maggie are. That I
yeah,
wouldn't even turn off them. And
yeah.
when I saw you tweet that, I'm like, she's like, shut up, just shut up.
I
And
see
like,
what's no, go ahead. Sorry.
and like, I knew Cashman was coming on yesterday, so I stuck around, but I had to go run in and do something. So I only caught the interview on from when he was talking about Gary Sanchez. It was very interesting the way he phrased a lot of the stuff that he said about
Yes.
Gary. So I didn't actually hear the part about Tanaka, but I'm just like, just shut up,
No, I, what's funny though, because when he made that comment, I kind of hurt. Like he didn't say it any sort of way, but as soon as he said it, I thought, is he going to come back as a pitcher at some point? And then when Maggie was just like, yeah, you like to bring back these guys, to honor them one day or Old Timers Day, kind of slipped my mind. But when I read that this morning, I tweeted, I was like, that kind of makes sense best of what he said, because that's the first thing I really thought of. So that would be, honestly, I was texting a couple of my buddies. I was like, that would be an awesome redemption story. Just like, players get hurt. Tanaka's got to come back from Japan, save the day. But like you said, I mean, I don't know what it is about Tanaka himself. I mean, CC was kind of the same way, but he won a World Series and like he kind of was able to ride off in the sunset on his own. But I feel like Tanaka kind of just missed the boat. I thought, he deserved the World Series. He was the glue for a long time. No matter what you thought of him, he was a rock in the playoffs, except for last year. He dealt with his elbow that could explode at any second. He just happened to pitch like 3 years, even though it was partially torn.
Yeah.
He had a lot of guts. I really loved watching him pitch too. Just on the mound, the way psychologically how good he was. So definitely a favorite of mine to watch. Wish him nothing but the best. Hope he kills it in Japan. Honestly, hope he comes back. That would be just a great story.
It's funny though, because we talked about this on the show. It seemed like the mundane 1 through 62 of Tanaka.
What the hell is this? He's back.
I'm back.
I'll finish this
Just
off.
pretend like I'm not here.
The mundane 162, April through September for Tanaka, it seemed like it bored him at times. And then he would just, it would wake him. Like we talked about this because remember when that's at Friday night at Yankee Stadium against Yu Darvish, he showed out that night.
Yeah,
It was like, okay, let's go.
It's
Yeah, but
almost
there's
like
one.
no, go
You
ahead.
go, Dan. Sorry. And now
No,
it's so rude of me to just show up. I'm high as a kite on my pill form cough medicine, and I just think I can interrupt you like this.
No, it's all good. No, all I was gonna say was a lot of times I feel like during the regular season he would use those games to like tinker with,
I say getting bored, you say tinker.
Yeah, listen. But here's the problem. Here's why he's not here. When's the last time he's done it?
Done what?
When's the last time he was that Tanaka?
But again, are we talking like 2020? Is it are we excited for Clint Frazier or upset at Ottavino? Was 2020 an aberration? Like
Understood, but if you remember back to 2019, Tanaka ended that postseason on a bad note. No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say it was bad.
It was bad. It wasn't good.
It wasn't up to his standard. I wouldn't say that he was.
So
really
when's the last
bad in
time
that
you
start.
saw the Tanaka that was bored in the regular season but showed up under the brightest lights? When's the last time you truly saw that guy?
In 2019.
Right, and it's been how many big starts did he not show up?
Really, you want to say one? I'm giving him
One?
a pass for what happened in Cleveland.
Okay, fine, but that's still not a. That's
So
still,
that's one start. There
no.
was a start
2019, he
against-
didn't show up. He didn't end this. He didn't end the postseason in 2019, right? That's one. And then wasn't there a game? He still pitched 2 more games after the Cleveland incident. No.
No,
one
he
more.
only had 2 starts last year.
Okay, well, the
postseason.
Cleveland one wasn't good. Obviously, that might not have been fair to him, but the next
And I
start
said
was
one start to
just
start
as
against
awful.
Tampa when he got ripped in Game 3.
So, I mean, and don't get me wrong.
He's
I'm
not
not
here.
fighting
He's
against
not here
Tanaka. I
because
love him.
This is what happens when you just pop in and pop out whenever you feel like it. We just talked about this. And Cashman alluded to this in his interviews yesterday. He got 2 pitches for the price of 1. That's why Tanaka's not here.
If Masahiro Tanaka was lights out, the way he always has been in the big game,
then he would be here and Tyon Kluber wouldn't be.
okay, but that just proves my point.
But
He wasn't.
allowed-
He
again,
wasn't. He wasn't worth it at that point to the Yankees because the one thing that you could always count on for Tanaka, you haven't been able to really count on the last few big starts that he's had.
I think you're making too much out of what happened in 2019.
I also think that he, it's hard, especially with no fans, but, and, this is kind of like nothing, it's not a stat, but I think, no moment was too big for him. Sure, he struggled, but it wasn't a mental thing. It wasn't a Sonny Gray thing, which I went on a 30-second, rant with Sonny Gray before positively. So I don't know if you guys want to cut that, but
No, we're not cutting it.
yeah, but no, but like when he struggled
Any
in the playoffs,
Sonny Gray slander is encouraged on this show.
but I was positive. That's the thing. I was like, when you walked out, I said
you
straight.
slipped that in. You didn't tell me that it was going to be positive.
Yeah,
You said it was a
that's when you
rant.
walked
Rant
out. You
is-
gave me free reign. You gave me free reign, man.
All
No,
right,
but
all right.
What'd you
think
do? You
that-
stopped listening to him? You just cut? You just
gotta
trusted him?
walk
You
out.
let him?
Gotta walk out for a second.
Wow.
So he gave me the floor for myself.
Wow.
No, but I think when you see Tanaka, it's not a confidence issue. It's not a mental issue. That's one big thing for me that I thought, like, I appreciated, and I think this team needs. Like, I don't think Kluber will struggle in the moment, but Tyon playing in Pittsburgh, Davey, Christian, like you said before, he had some big games this year where he didn't show up. Montgomery, kind of question mark regardless. So I don't know. I understand why he left. I don't think he was asking the Yankees for as much as he was asking other teams. I know he spoke with the Mets, Blue Jays, Padres. I know he was asking for close to $20 million a year from these teams. At one point, the Padres thought they were going to be able to do something with him before they moved to Musgrove. I think that's kind of when they realized that his price tag was too high. But I think that I don't know. I think he's going to be missed. I really do.
I love Tanaka. He's going to go down as one of my favorite Yankees, and I think he's one of the more underappreciated Yankees, definitely of our time right now. But the dude's a gamer. I mean, if you could say anything about him, this is a guy who could go out there and throw 7 perfect innings in Game 7 of a ALCS and come out and in the post game tell you he didn't like his stuff, that he could have been better. I mean, the guy was never good enough for himself. He was always aiming to be better, and that's the kind of guy that I like on this team. So he's definitely going to be missed.
For
And
sure.
who knows if he'll be back down the road? But I think his biggest value is his biggest piece that he brought to any team that he would have played for. Kind of just has faded out a little bit over the last few years, and I think how much better is he in Japan than he would be here? Like, how much better is Tanaka pitching in Japan than he is in the major leagues? Is it like a huge difference? Because here he's above average, right? We'd say he's an above average starting pitcher, right? The guy's career ERA was mid 3s now.
I'll give him above average. Yeah.
I mean,
I think when
I'd say an average pitcher is like in the low 4s.
Yeah.
ERA type
think-
guy.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. When he came to America, he was the greatest pitcher in Japan, came here. He wasn't an ace ever, but he was
Right.
very good. So I think, obviously the competition level is a little different there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to crazy numbers in Japan.
Yeah, like he could go back and go like 20-0.
Yeah. And then I'm telling you, man, it's going to be like August and Kluber done for the year, Tyon done. They're going to be like, all right, got to make the call. Bring him back. That'd be sick, though.
That's what that guy Rye said. But me and
Can they
Christian
break
said,
that
can they do
contract
that?
though? Because their
He said
regular season actually.
this was
I
his team.
was looking at their schedule. I think their regular season ends after. I think even later than when the postseason runs, or mid-October or something like that. Can he can he break his contract like
Is
that?
it because it's
I
a
don't-
different country? They just don't care. They're just like,
Yeah,
the United States contract stumps.
I understood the point of where he would just they would discuss things after the season was over. I didn't think that there was any seriousness to him leaving in the middle of the season. Just be like in August, like see you later, recruiting, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Oh, you never know. May throw him a bone or something. Who knows?
All right, so let's just briefly touch on DJ before we get to Twitter, and then that'll be the end of the show here. We haven't talked to you. We love the DJ LeMahieu contract because we feel that he's basically playing the last 2 years of his deal for free. So I don't even really, people are always worried about, oh, if you extend them past 4, you're gonna. But hey, you know what? You were thinking probably 4 for 90 at least going into this, and you got him for 6
for
for
sure.
90. So
Yeah.
so
Do you know how
gotta feel
they said like Cashman should have handed DJ a blank check? I feel like DJ handed Cashman a blank piece of paper to write out his contract. That's how bad I think the contract is for DJ LeMahieu. I'm actually mad at him for it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
let me start by saying this. Do you really think you want to compare it to anything? Springer got what, 6 for 150? Is he $60 million better than DJ LeMahieu?
oh, no way.
No
I just
way.
I the thing with DJ was he loves New York. He loves where he's at now. I think he didn't want to go anywhere. And the Yankees had that on their side. Now, he was upset. I mean, he was shopping around. Dodgers were interested, Mets were interested, Blue Jays were crazy interested. Blue Jays offered him, I think, not as much as they gave Springer, but maybe 125, something like that. But he wanted to win. And then it came down to the Dodgers and Yankees, and Dodgers weren't going 6 years. And the familiarity of New York, and he knows what he has here. I mean, he said it in his press conference the other day. He knows his team is better than what they've been able to accomplish, which is not a World Series. So ultimately, I think this is where he wanted to be. I think that's why they got the discount for him.
And I love George Springer. If he's the one, if there's one Astro that
You love him so much you marry him?
I would. I think he's a really good guy. But if there's one Astro that I actually like, it's George Springer. So this isn't a knock on George Springer, okay? But if you're telling me that he's worth that much more than DJ LeMahieu, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, no, I don't think
you
so.
are out of your mind. You're not even in. I mean, what about George Springer is anywhere close to what DJ LeMahieu has done over the last few years of his career?
Well, he's got the. I mean, you want to. This is what it is when you bring up the Astros, but he's got the hardware. He's got the October number.
Yeah, okay, but that okay. We talked about Danny Almonte the other day. Okay, you remember Danny Almonte, Dan?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's like Danny Almonte walking around and going, "Yeah, I won. I won the Little League World Series. I won the Little League World
19 years
Series
old.
for the Bronx when I was 34
Yeah.
against 12-year-olds." Okay, you can't tell me George Springer's walking around and getting bigger contracts because he has the hardware. That doesn't work anymore.
That goes into it. It absolutely does. And you don't think Carlos Correa? Who do you think they're going to pay Carlos Correa a couple bags of Cracker
Carlos
Jacks next
Correa
year?
let me tell you something. And again, I love George Springer. Carlos Correa is on a different planet than George Springer when it comes to value.
I think I hate Carlos Correa more than anybody in Major League Baseball.
Carlos Correa is my most hated player in baseball.
If you told me that if he was the Yankees starting shortstop in 2021, I don't know that I would be against that.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could root for him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I would just have to put it all aside.
But no, I mean, DJ coming back, just get back to him. They need more DJ LeMahieu's, not less. They couldn't let him go. If he would have left, I don't think this offense would have been. It couldn't have been great. I think DJ does so much for this team that people just, I don't want to say overlook. I mean, everybody loves DJ. They know what he brings, but like I said, they need more players like him, not less. It was imperative that they brought him back.
Let me ask you this, because
because
this just happened earlier today. You think it was a gross overpay, 2 for 28 for Didi Gregorius?
I don't think so. I mean, he had a good year last year. I was surprised. I mean, it was a good amount. I'm glad he got the deal. I mean, it was a nice contract for him, especially because he doesn't have to compete next year in that shortstop free agent market because then he would have
He
been screwed.
wouldn't. He wouldn't compete
Yeah.
in that
He
free
would,
agent
yeah,
market.
he'd be
Yeah.
done.
Oh, exactly. He would have. Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy for him.
Because like we said, we talk about this all the time. Like what fans, this is just the way that it goes on social media sometimes, especially in Yankee Twitter, that they couldn't wait to run this guy out of town last year because he was coming off Tommy John surgery. He let's be honest, he wasn't Didi Gregorius when he came back. Maybe he came back too soon
Yeah.
because he felt an obligation to be back in the lineup, especially with everybody else hurt.
Mhm.
He wasn't Didi Gregorius, and didn't wasn't against Garrett Cole. He hit that ball to the friggin' wall. It would have been a grand slam. Could have changed the
Yeah.
entire outlook of the ALCS last year. It was just that type. But if that was even 18, 17, maybe that ball goes over the wall for Didi, but it didn't. And it was just kind of like the final nail in his coffin. And
Yeah.
people all of a sudden then decided that he sucked defensively,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But now all of a sudden, now you fast forward to this all season, everybody wanted to bring the guy back.
Yeah.
Christian,
Of
And it
course.
just
don't start ripping Yankee fans. We know how that one guy on our review really doesn't
Uh-huh.
like how you do that.
But
Okay.
again, Didi, and I think maybe a lot of people thought Didi was going to come in here for, maybe a free chicken bucket or something.
Yeah. Like a
He got
hometown
28
Christian.
he got $28 million a year. I don't think he was going to do
Not a
if,
year.
even if Brian Cashman wanted to bring him. I don't think he was going to do the Yankees any favors.
No, not at all. Why? Why should he?
No, yeah. I mean, especially because if you're, excuse me, if you're considering bringing Didi back, all the leverage is in Didi's side, on Didi's side at that point.
I think you
I
got to
mean,
look at it like
if you need to bring Didi back, it's because you made a move where you need to fill that hole, and at that point, Didi has all the leverage. I mean, he wouldn't take a discount.
maybe Glaber's better at second base, but are you better with Didi at short and Glaber at second, or Glaber at short and DJ LeMahieu at second base? Where are you better?
Yeah.
I just don't think that. I honestly just don't think that Glaber Torres. Okay, I'll say this. Was Glaber Torres a liability? Sure. I mean, no one can sit here and say that he was great at shortstop. He's definitely going to get better. It's not, but here's the thing. Will the Yankees not win a World Series because Glaber Torres is at shortstop? No.
You better hope it's not.
Like that, like for me, I'm not sitting here going, yeah, the Yankees could definitely win, but Glaber's at short, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not a thought in my mind. Could it make things a little more difficult? Sure. Does he need to get better? Yeah. But is that a concern where the Yankees feel it's going to hold them back from winning a World Series? And no, in my opinion, I don't think it's anywhere near that kind of a thought for them. And I think they do have look, Cashman has been more than open about the fact that Glaber Torres profiles to him as a second baseman, and that he never thought he had the range of a shortstop to be a great shortstop. That doesn't mean that Glaber Torres can't get better. The kid is when's the last time we saw a kid this young and this talented? I mean, you're telling me Glaber Torres doesn't have the ability to get better and work hard at something and become a better shortstop this year?
And I think I don't think we really touched on this a lot, but it's come out, and Cashman was kind of on this point yesterday. He did not like the way that Glaber Torres showed up to summer camp.
I was going to say that.
Bad?
Yeah.
He was pudgy.
He said he was in great shape when they showed up at Tampa in February. He didn't like the way he showed up, and he said that it basically took him the entire season to get in shape. And then when he got in shape was late September into October, and then that's when you saw Glaber Torres he had another really good postseason last year. And then Cashman attributed it to that's when Glaber Torres was really rounded into shape at that point.
So he put on the COVID-19, and then he showed up to summer camp.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Oh, hey, the dude shows up in the postseason. I'll give him that. I mean, you can't argue his postseason numbers. Dan, last week we were talking about, I think it was Didi versus Torres in the postseason. I mean, we all know Didi's had those big moments and stuff, but you look at his numbers compared to a guy like Torres who really hasn't had that much experience. Torres's numbers are freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been consistently good in postseason. I mean, and that's where it matters most. So you take that any day of the week, especially, his defense is adequate. It's not, he could get better. He definitely could get better. But it's not like I don't see him as a crazy liability. Some people do, but I don't think so. So I mean, you take the goat to bed. You hope he, like you said, Christian. I mean, it was no secret that people have said he's come, in bad shape last year to start the season. So you kind of chalk it up and hope that this year he comes in good shape, ready to go, improved, and you don't got to worry about free agency next year with the shortstop market.
He's no
Dan,
Chuck Knobloch at second base.
Well, that's for sure.
You want to go to Twitter, Dan? And, we'll close out the show.
Yeah, your favorite part, Yankees Twitter. Let's go.
I love it. I love it.
Rip him.
We'll start with Medic968. He says, "I'm definitely going to listen, even though you threw me under the bus last week." I don't.
Man,
Do you think he's You think he's our critic? You think he's the one who left the review? Bad show.
Sure.
Just a bad show.
I don't know if I remember reading his tweet last week. I don't know if I threw him under the bus per se. Maybe I kind of, pushed him into the road, but then pulled him back a little bit. I wish, but I don't know if
What I wish we did was I wish I knew that Medic left that reply, because then I would have
came in.
Oh, okay. Because then I would have pulled the audio from last week just to hear how badly you threw him under the bus, because I'm sure it was miserable.
All right.
Sure you
Dan, your boy at John Report, our good buddy John Canton from the wrestling. Yeah,
that was actually a crazy story. That was a crazy story, by the way. Not to interrupt you, but just the connection to that was nuts.
You know John Canton?
I was reading this guy's wrestling probably when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, always all his reviews I always write, and then the three of us just got into talking on Twitter, and it's funny how it works.
That's crazy.
He wants a Go Jays shout out.
Yeah, he's a Blue Jays troll. That's what John. That's who John
I know.
is to me.
Every time I tweet some Yankees, he goes, "Go Jays! They're gonna be crushing the Yankees pitching, all this stuff." So I can't say it. I'm sorry.
He can't say it, but I will say the Jays are gonna. I mean, the Jays are gonna be a team to watch out for. Eventually.
We'll give John a shout out. We'll give the John Report Wrestling. What is it? I think the caller is TJRWrestling.net.
TJRWrestling.net.
If you're a wrestling fan, definitely check out his website. The guy does excellent work covering WWE and AEW. You'll listen to this Monday morning, but tomorrow night is the Royal Rumble. You just want to throw out two names, men's and women's Rumble winner, real quick. See if you're right when you listen back on Monday.
You're asking Chris, right?
Yeah, okay. Hold on. Here's the question I heard him ask you. Ready? Do you want to guess who they scripted to win the movie? To win the movie tomorrow?
Oh man.
It's like a soap opera. It's like when you watch like Bold and the what's the one most people watch where it's like his brother came back from a coma, but really he's the identical twin and they were born conjoined. And blah, blah, blah. That's what wrestling is. And that's what you guys are predicting.
You know the dumb shit that you watch? So shut your mouth. Okay. Give me two names real quick.
All right. Man. So I'm going. I think Daniel Bryan's going to get the Royal Rumble for the men's side. Go with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I think that match would be sick. And then for the women.
Love Daniel Bryan, actually.
Daniel Bryan's the man. Then women, I want to say it's either going to be Bianca. I feel like Bianca Belair, she's up and coming, or maybe a Rhea Ripley could debut, pop on the Royal Rumble, challenge, I don't know, Asuka, something, get her in there. So I think it's going to be one of the two. Like you said before, though, make sure read John's review. When this comes out Monday, his review for the Royal Rumble is going to be up. So got to check that out.
After you listen to this show, of course.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on here. I'll just say.
Wait, what about you, Christian? What do you?
I agree with you on Daniel Bryan. I don't really, unless it's Edge, but I think since they already gave Orton the title this year, I don't think they'll go back to and give Orton the title again. So I'll agree with you on Daniel Bryan, and I don't know. I love Alexa Bliss. I love her playing this character. I think she's one of the favorites to win. I just don't love her carrying the title because I hate it when the Fiend was the champion. But I think
my wife has Roman Reigns over Daniel Bryan.
Too bad Roman Reigns is already the champion, dick.
Oh, so who's Daniel Bryan playing? I mean,
it's the Royal Rumble.
He's going against 29 other men.
This is not the okay. So this is the
for
Royal
the chance
Rumble.
to headline WrestleMania.
So okay, I thought it was WrestleMania. That's in the summer.
That's actually in
2
April.
months. Yeah, April, 3 months.
I'm being
Close, though.
corrected on
All
both
right.
sides here. My wife used to watch wrestling until she married me. I wouldn't let her watch it anymore.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, so you control what your wife does. You're one of those guys.
Well, we control certain things. I think that was one of my
Mhm.
stipulations at the altar.
Bitch, get in the kitchen.
I said no more wrestling.
All right. Anyway, let's move on here before we get those tweets. Christian
Yeah,
said, "Get in the
seriously.
kitchen, bitch."
Get in the
Oh,
kitchen.
God.
What are we in the 1920s? We're
Uh,
joking.
Don Sicario. Overall,
Sicari.
how are we feeling going into the season? Chris had a what was that term you threw out the other day?
I said optimistically skeptical. I think it's the best. I think it's the best, most unorthodox way to honestly describe what we feel like, because on one side of the coin, you can sit here and say that if all the pieces play out, if Kluber's friggin' Kluber, if Sevy comes back and he's Sevy, if Davy Garcia can put up some strong innings, if Cole is Cole, obviously that's not an if. That's the one thing that's not an if. If Gleyber Torres is stronger at short, if this, if that, but all those ifs are, I mean, if they play out, have the ability to be beyond a World Series caliber team. Now, the flip side of that is if they're not, you're kind of in trouble. I mean,
Yes.
if Kluber can't stay healthy, if Sevy comes back and he's not 100%, you're right back to where you are. I mean, if Tyon isn't the guy that you're hoping he'd be, or even a fraction of the guy at this point, coming back from his second Tommy John. I mean, there's so many ifs. The upside of everything is so strong, but the downside of everything is honestly frightening.
Now, cautiously, skeptically optimistic.
No, I said optimistically skeptical because I was trying to be funny, but
yeah, but
cautiously optimistic would be really what.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
real.
Obviously.
I cautiously optimistic is definitely the way I feel, because we talked about this in our group chat last night. Is that this rotation has the potential to be so scary, either scary
So
good
scary.
or scary bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I I hate to copy you guys, but it's really the same. It's so many question marks. It could be great, could be not. I mean, that pitching rotation, Christian and I touched on it a lot in the beginning. It's just a lot of question marks. The upside's there, but so is the downside. I mean, this team has dealt with injuries so much throughout this run. And if the pitching staff goes down that route, I mean, this could get real bad real quick.
Yeah.
So you got to hope for the best. The potential is there. I mean, you know, the offense is going to produce. Even a lot of times throughout, like you said, this window, we've seen big guys go down and people just step up, and it's hard to keep that up. But we've also seen that time again. So I don't have as much worry about the offense, even if injuries happen. It's the pitching, man, and it's always comes down to the pitching. So as long as it stays healthy, the potential's there. So
Yeah.
healthy wins.
I'll say this, honestly, I think this is the fairest evaluation you can give. At this point, I think the Yankees have enough in place where even if Kluber comes back half of what you'd expect, even if Tyon's not 100% effective, even if Sevy isn't 100% there, you have enough with Garrett Cole at the top of this rotation to, and a guy like Davy Garcia, who's going to be effective. You know, he's going to be somewhat effective in a lot of the games that he pitched. I think you have enough to still make the postseason. I don't think that the Yankees are fearing missing out in the postseason if all the pieces don't play out. I think they're strong enough in that sense.
Yeah.
Great, we said this an hour ago, so maybe don't have COVID and miss the
So
show.
sorry.
And then,
So sorry. I know it's such a hindrance on so many people. But like my bigger concern, and I'm agreeing with you offensively, it's not going to be as much of a big deal, but I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, I need to see Aaron Judge stay healthy. I need to see
Oh,
that.
of course.
I need to see that this year. Do I need to see Sanchez be the guy I thought he was? Not really, because I don't think he has a future here, but it would be friggin' nice to see him show up this year.
Mhm.
I think those things are, regardless, at the end of the day, the Yankees are going to make the postseason. If they have to make a move mid-season before the trade deadline, they will. So, I mean, if these guys can show up, though, man, this team is the best team in baseball. There's no doubt about it.
all right, so we'll move on here to K Kamine 33. I'll throw out 4 names, Dan. Just give me like I don't know how you just a quick answer on whether you or not you think that the Yankees are going to be in on him. David Robertson.
I don't think so. I think that the stuff that happened, I mean, it's a different lot of stuff that happened when he left in the locker room. I think that kind of soured everybody. Coming off Tommy John too, it's risky, but I say no.
I
Cashman
forgot
likes
David
those
Robertson
TJs,
had
though.
Tommy John. Oh,
You know
forget it.
what?
That deal's he's coming back for sure.
For
All right.
sure. For sure.
Shane Green. Chris will
Oh,
love that.
Shane Green,
oh,
throwback.
I
No,
hate him.
I don't think so either.
Can I
How
ask you a
about
Yeah.
question
Trevor
real
Ro-
quick?
He's
David Robertson, what soured in the locker room with that?
He cut the shares, right, of the locker room
oh,
guys.
right.
yeah, shares, yeah, with the playoff shares and things like that. With the I think like locker room attendance. I think it was
Yeah.
some locker room workers like he didn't want to give the shares. Yeah, it soured a lot of people. So I don't know. I say no.
How
Though.
about
I forgot
how
about
about
that.
Trevor Rosenthal?
Now Trevor Rosenthal will be interesting, and he keeps on throwing these smoke screens out a lot on Twitter. It could be just trolling, you never know on Twitter, but I think he would be a good option. I think there's a chance there. I don't know, inside information, but I think he could be an option.
Let me tell you something.
How
If
about
we depended on guys throwing shit out on Twitter, Trevor Bauer would be Yankee 10 different times.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The guy's the biggest troll I've ever seen in my life.
Archie Bradley? Didn't Archie Bradley post an Instagram picture of him in a Yankee jersey, a CC Sabathia jersey?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that. How about Guardy? See a reunion there?
Guardy's interesting, man, because you know what? Cashman, when he says stuff, you try and read between the lines, but he's hinted at back, and it's not. He did it with Dylan Betances. He did it with Didi, where he was kind of like, on the fence and not committed. He wasn't like that with DJ, let's say. And when he did his rounds yesterday, he was or when you guys listen to this, when he did his rounds Thursday, he or Friday, I don't know what day it is, Friday, he wasn't committed to Guardy at all. I think he would be back. Either he comes back. I don't see him playing on another team. I'm trying to think. If I put money down, they still have Talkman. Uh, I think he does come back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't.
Can I say one thing? I think Guardy being a question mark still is part of what bothers me about the Adam Ottavino thing. Because I see this playing out where, okay, if they get Guardy back, how much are they paying him? 3, 4,
Yeah, probably 3. Yeah, I'd say around. They should be anyway.
4, 5, maybe. Maybe they throw him 5.
I don't think because he's already getting $2.5 million because they gave him that option last
Okay.
year.
So now really you're taking half of Adam Ottavino, the money you saved, and giving it to Brett Gardner, who I want back more than anything. I do.
Mhm.
I think he should be back for one more year. Even this sounds so stupid, right? I know it sounds so stupid to people, but for that amount of money, I want him back. A, for his veteran presence, but I also want him back because I'm hoping there's fans in the seats this year, and I think the guy deserves a proper goodbye. I do. I
Yes.
think that Brett Gardner, there's something very unique now, and there's something that you really don't get that enough anymore, where a guy's been with your organization for his entire career and really made a name for himself. Like he was never MVP, but Brett Gardner made a name for himself as a Yankee, and I think he deserves one more year with fans in the seats. I do.
And to be fair too, he would probably be one of, if not the best fourth outfielders. I mean, he'll step in and
Absolutely.
play. He could still step in and play. And with injuries, you need somebody like that. So I'm not against it. I just was really interested yesterday, again, Friday when you guys listened, about what Cashman was saying and kind of just listening to read between the lines, let's say. He didn't seem like crazy committed to Gardner, but we'll see.
Because you notice that if you notice throughout this entire offseason, whenever Cashman's given an interview, he's given this line about guys that he doesn't want to talk about because he doesn't want
Yes.
to. He doesn't want to bring back. Oh, I can't talk about free agents. But DJ LeMahieu, he basically stopped short of saying that he was going to propose to him at his doorstep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He would talk
Yeah.
about DJ for 20 minutes, and they would ask Tanaka, and he'd be like, "You know what? He's a free agent. Can't really talk about him." But yeah, 100%.
Which is what he said about Gardner yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. It's interesting.
That's what just blows my mind about the DJ contract. Like, it wasn't even like Cashman was playing hardball.
No,
Cashman
not at all.
straight up said he would do anything to get the guy back. And the guy just pulls his pants down and just takes this awful contract. I mean,
Yeah.
look, it's awful in my opinion because I value DJ LeMahieu at a lot more than what he's getting per year.
Mhm.
Again, you want to compare it to the George Springer I think contract. I think that's a great comparison. I just don't get why he would value himself that low.
All right, we got a couple more here, and then we'll wrap it up. At Peace Now for Love wants to
Wrap
know
it
what we
up.
can realistically expect from Kluber and Tyon this year.
Injury.
And I was gonna ask this as the like Twitter question of the week if we didn't have Dan. One of these guys is going to be a beast, and one of these guys is going to be a bust. Who's your beast and who's your bust on Tyon and Kluber?
I hate to say it, I think Kluber's going to be the beast, Ty on the bust,
Wow.
only because, yeah, I just think because he's a veteran. I think the veteran aspect of it. I think Tyon's coming in. I know Kluber's coming in with expectations. Obviously, people have a lot of high hopes, but I feel like Tyon's kind of like, okay, he could step in and really eventually be that number two because of his potential. But we've seen what Kluber could do when he's healthy. Again, both of them health, but I don't want to say he's going to be a bust, obviously, Tyon. But when you
If
give
you
me
had
that,
to pick, yeah.
yeah, if I had to pick, I'm going Kluber for sure. I think he's been there, done that, battle tested. I like it.
I'm sure you guys talked about this earlier, but we didn't touch on it last week. We forgot to bring up that the connection and the relationship that Garrett Cole has with Tyon.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
I think that just makes me so much more optimistic about that contract and that deal. But the thing with Kluber, I guess if I had to pick, just like you, I would say the same thing. But I do have that optimism behind Tyon because of that connection with Garrett Cole. I think that speaks volumes. But the thing with Kluber is he's made it a point to go out of his way and talk about how healthy he is right now. That this is not like maybe I'm okay, And we know that a healthy Corey Kluber is one of the best pitchers in baseball. There's no debate. When the Corey Kluber is healthy, the dude is lights out. His last healthy season was what, 2018?
Yeah.
Did he win the Cy Young that year?
I don't
think he
remember.
Did he?
I think he won the Cy Young. I mean, the guy's filthy. He's not decent. So if Corey Kluber is that adamant on being as healthy as he is, and he's gonna come back, the dude's a gamer. The guy battles. He's the guy who's gonna be the beast on the mound. And I'd have to give it to Kluber.
Corey Kluber
also.
won in 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was his last full healthy season. We're talking about a guy. The last time he was healthy was the best pitcher in the American League.
No.
So, I mean, if you can pair that up, even if he's a little bit off from that, you don't expect him to come back to Cy Young form.
Wait, hold on a second.
But even if he's a little bit off from that, to put that behind Garrett Cole, behind Tyon, this rotation can be filthy. And let's not forget Severino coming back in the summer if he comes back. I'm not gonna get my hopes up on Severino until that actually happens.
No,
because Severino's turning into one of those cases for me where it was like Aaron Judge last year, 2 years ago, where it was like, yeah, in a week he'll be back.
Yeah.
2 more weeks. It's nothing serious.
No, I'm sorry. It was 14 and 17 that Kluber won the Cy Young. He finished third in 2018.
Still, I mean, it's still that's something to write home about. And you could see Corey Kluber have such a good year that he remains a Yankee after this season. If they think that they can sign him to a few more years, if he's that good, and put him behind Garrett Cole,
he's not going to sign for 10, 11
Oh
million
no, I know, but look, if he's going to be good and healthy, and you can put him behind Garrett Cole, you might see him as a Yankee if he can prove himself.
To answer my own question, I love what Garrett Cole said about Jameson Tyon. Made me feel a lot better about the deal. But again, if you're going to say one is a beast, one's a bust, Corey Kluber's career is kind of riding on this season.
Yeah.
And he's very confident about it.
So, I mean, what is he, 35 years old right now? If he comes out here coming off of not pitching for 2 years and stinks up the joint, he might be done. That could be it for him. Yeah. And again, you want to talk about people stealing fucking ideas from me? Hey, who's the asshole that compared signing Corey Kluber to trading for Troy Tulowitzki? Even my own friends over there told me that I was a moron for saying it. And then Joel Sherman's writing a goddamn article about it. So tell me that people aren't out of their mind stealing ideas from this podcast here. Okay. What the hell is going on over there?
Trying to take my temperature.
Rectally?
No, I wish. I think they're the most accurate.
Yeah, I'm sure you
I'm not
would.
going to do that on the show, though. Do that after the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Last last couple here, and we'll get Dan out of here. Joseph Fantazi wants to know any chance the
Oh,
Yankees jump in for Josh Hader.
Josh Hader, it's going to take a crazy package to get. Brewers are adamant about getting back a haul for him. And do you want to give up a haul for a reliever? I mean, listen, think back to the Cubs, what they did with Chapman. They gave to get, but they won a World Series. In the end, that's what matters. They're not mad that they traded Glaber because they won. So would love to have him now, sure, but they won a World Series with Chapman. So I mean, it's just I don't know if there's that much of a need to give up that much when you could probably trade the same guys you would trade for a reliever for a starting pitcher. I think so. He'd be a great piece. Don't get me wrong, but from what the Brewers are asking for, I probably would pass.
I honestly, guy's disgusting, but like you said, it would have to be one of those we call them like franchise altering trade
Yeah,
proposals to get him out of there, and another left-handed reliever.
exactly.
Is that what the
Ah,
Yankees are going to trade? Push all their chips in the middle of the table for?
no, you have to ask yourself, does this move take me over the edge of being that team that won't be stopped? And the
Mhm.
answer is no at this point. And the real answer to that is there's really no move at this point that needs to be made in a sense of, again, if everything works out.
Yeah,
Now, that doesn't mean that mid-season before the trade deadline that's not going to change. That could absolutely change. If these pieces don't work out, then the Yankees probably do have a move that they have to make. But right now, to give up everything for a guy like Hader, they don't need it.
Mhm.
That's not going to be what I think this team is built very, very strong. There's
Yeah.
just a lot of strong question marks.
So we'll wrap it up on this. I'm going to amend it a little bit, but I'll give him a shout out. It's at Hammy88888. Guy loves fucking eights.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
what if the Yankees make one more move this offseason? What is the most realistic move you see them making? I'm amending a question, but I want to know what you think that is.
Most realistic. So anything trade free agency?
Yeah.
Anything? Okay. Honestly, realistic be two things. I don't have a specific name, but either bring somebody in to compete for backup middle infield or like that utility guy role, or Brett Gardner coming back. I don't think it's going to be any sort of crazy splash. I don't think they're going to flip Clint Frazier for a starting pitcher, then bring in Marcelo Ozuna. Like I don't think anything like that's going to happen. Um, they seem to really like Tyler Wade. I think they would have brought somebody in at this point. I feel if
Gotta
they
stack
really
guy
did
right.
believe in him,
Fucking
but
tired of looking at Tyler Wade, to be
Why?
honest.
He's
free
cute.
boy, he's free boy.
He's pretty.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
when I first started dating my wife, we sit down and watch games, and
She loves gardening.
she used, yeah, she did. She had a thing for Gardy for a while there, but she used to say, "Oh, he's not good looking." I used to say, "They don't pay it. They're not being paid to look good. They're paid to win games." Tyler Wade, so what? He might fit well in an Old Navy ad, but what does he fucking do?
And he's
yeah,
fast. He's fat. And the dude's a phenomenal fielder. I
that's
mean,
the
the
thing.
guy can field.
Yeah, if he could become a competent hitter, not even a great good hitter, competent, if he could put together good at bats, he'd bring so much more value to the Yankees because he plays six positions and he's fast. He can be a pinch runner. Well,
But
being a
Dan, you
lefty,
could even argue that he has put together a more competent uh, array of at bats in his last
Chris, more times than
year.
not, he looks like he's fucking swinging with a
Yeah, but
blindfold on.
yeah, but if you really look back to his last 100 plate appearances, he's looked much more competent than he had in the past.
Yeah, he
And
went from a 100 hitter to a 130 hitter.
what's funny to me is that I always bring this up and it's starting to really get outdated. But I think 2017 when he was in AAA, he was the best player on the team, and they had Clint Frazier. I think Gleyber Torres made it up. Andujar was there. Jorge Mateo. Like they had the baby bombers in Scranton, and he hit 310, 389 on base percentage. I think almost 30 extra base hits, 16 stolen bases. He played 5 positions. I mean, he was crazy valuable. And ever since then, I've just been like, if he could put together anything close to that, he would bring so much value. But I don't know. So that's why I think they're going to keep him, but that could be an area of need. And again, like Gardner, he could be somebody who they bring back. You're not going to see anything crazy at this point. I think they're pretty much set at what they're going in with, and maybe a couple tinklings here and there, but I don't even know if that's the word, tinkling.
Tinkle.
Yeah. Just little moves here and there to complement the roster, but that's it. Veteran reliever, something like that.
I think the signing of O'Day kind of maybe took them out of playing in the reliever market because we talked about this. I think they want to see maybe if Loizaga can take the next step. I personally like Nick Nelson. I think he was overexposed last year, so maybe another year under his belt, he can take that next step. And we talked about Michael King. Maybe he doesn't play in the rotation, but again, another guy whose stuff I liked that I felt was overexposed last year. Maybe he's a guy, if you're going to give Herman that role where he pitches 2 or 3 times a week, then in the days that you don't have Herman, King takes that role where he's a 2-inning guy. I could see him playing in that role. So maybe the Yankees take themselves out of the reliever market. Now they got O'Day, and they maybe they want to do that with Herman, King, and Nelson and Loizaga. I'm not saying that these guys are all going to be lights out great, but those are things that maybe you could see the Yankees doing. I think the slam dunk answer would have been Gardy if I had not heard Brian Cashman yesterday. But I think most realistic is that it would probably be Gardner. But again, then Mike Tauchman becomes redundant on this team.
Talk.
So
Yankee Tinklings with Dan Federico. That's going to be the title.
Let's go.
I don't know. Fucking Mike Tauchman. What a
it's Tauchman.
What a bum he turned out to be. Everybody thought he was going to be like the superstar.
Yeah. He's still competent.
He hit no home runs last year.
Who's more valuable, Mike Tauchman or Tyler Wade?
Tyler Wade all day.
No, yeah.
If I has a secret crush on Tyler Wade, just like Stat Guy Rye.
He's a good-looking guy, man.
I can see it in his eyes.
You looking at his eyes. Something happens, man. Something happens.
No, if we played keep him dump him if we played keep him dump him where we had to pit players against each other and it was Tauchman versus Wade, it would be keep Wade and dump Tauchman.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree for sure. I think Wade just brings a lot more.
Yeah,
he does. Good looks and everything. Like if we're talking looks, he's better. He's better looking than Tauchman. He's faster. He's better fielder.
Plus, I think Tauchman was like super into Game of Thrones. Like, get off the team, you fucking weirdo.
What if Dan was super into Game of Thrones?
You know what?
Fun fact, I've never seen a second of Game of Thrones. So
wow, this is why I knew Dan was meant to be.
Dan, yeah, exactly.
You just alienated Stat Guy Rye. He
Dan's not coming on here being like
anyway. So his internet went out. Come on,
yeah, it's true.
I wanted to hear coming on here being like, oh, Tyrone Lannister or whatever the fuck. I mean,
I'm so looped. I'm looped.
He's gonna come on here and name drop Shinsuke Nakamura, but like the fucking White King or whatever the fuck.
I have 103 fever right now, and I'm
doing
the show.
Christ, dude. My God.
No, just
all
kidding.
Right. Damn, I was gonna say.
It's like 102. It's like 102.
All right, so I think this was the best episode ever. Dan and I just took it over and ran with it.
It was good while I was off. It was good while I was off, and then I came in and I fucking squashed it.
All right. We want to thank everybody for listening to episode 212 of the NYYST podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. Dan, if you want to drop your handle so people can follow you.
Please follow this guy, man.
If you want anything you want to plug, pop something, go right ahead, bud.
Pop whatever you want.
Hey, man, I'm trying to get to 10K followers. That's the goal right now.
Wow.
I'm at like 8,800, so I'm close. But yeah, just follow me on Twitter. I'm always tweeting about stuff. Mostly Yankees, but I hear of things around the baseball world that I put out there anyway. So Dan J Federico on Twitter, follow me on there. Yeah, always happy to talk to you guys.
Come on,
always a pleasure being on.
Follow him.
It's an embarrassment for Yankee Twitter that you're not at 10,000 followers.
It really is. Honestly, it blows my mind. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not that kind of guy. But it blows my mind that some people have so many followers and Dan J Federico doesn't have 10K yet. It blows my mind.
Dude,
and other things about them might be
micromanaging so many different things.
People
micromanaging.
They can't even get to 10.
I can't. People think I'll
Dan
put you
doesn't
on
have
BOMBSHELL
Dan
or,
doesn't
like,
have baggage like some other people do.
Yeah.
oh,
Dan's
God.
just too clean cut.
Damn, man. All right,
Dan's
well,
too
listen,
clean.
Dan the man. Dan, we can't thank you enough, man. We probably
Dan, you're
kept
the
you
man,
way too
bro.
long. You're probably gonna catch a beating from your fiance, so we'll let
yeah,
you
she's
go. Thank you
downstairs right
very
now.
much.
So
She's
about
so
to get the
mad.
wrap. But it's all good.
She's trying to get Game of Thrones going. Dan
Dude,
lied to
that's
us.
the
They
thing,
actually
she's
have a
the
Game of
biggest
Thrones.
fan. She's the biggest Game of Thrones fan. So, yeah, but
They
she
have a
hates wrestling.
marathon set up. So
Yeah. All right, thanks,
All right,
guys. I appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure.
All right. So thank you for listening to episode 212. Chris, say goodbye.
peace.